Yo, we are back in the building to discuss Love and Marriage DC Season 2, Episode 5. We are chugging along on this season, and we got to talk about what we're going to rate this episode. And I got to tell y'all that on a scale of 1 to 10, I am rating this episode a shady. Listen, I'm rating this episode a 10 out of 10. Oh, yes, first 10 of this season. And I really want to get into why we're going to give it a 10 this episode. And I want you guys to rate it in the chatterization down below as well as you watch along. And tell me why you rated what you rated. Don't just give me your rating. Let me know why. Substantiate your claims. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I'm going to give this episode a 10 because it gave me everything that I needed. Honestly, this was an episode that was so great for Black men in general and for Black men to possibly see. You know what I'm saying? Because it was really a celebration of, you know what? Let me just be real with you, okay? For anybody that has ever filmed reality television, I can tell you from my own experience, there is a moment when you really stop trying to be what you have planned out for yourself to be in your head, and you actually start living in the moment of what you're filming. And I got to tell you guys that this episode for me had several of those moments where the people being filled dropped the facades that they may have ever had. Not to say that they did, but it was just apparent to me, especially during the therapy scene, that the guys did not have any pretense about what they were doing. They were solely in the moment. Jamie was not dressed to impress. He was literally in there. Listen, little Jamie wasn't dressed to impress. They were just a father and son in a therapy session, and they were just living in the moment. And that is really what you want when you are filming a reality TV show from a cast perspective. I can say that because I've lived it. There is what you have in your head that you're going to be, and then there is what happens, the magic that happens when you just let yourself go and you just exist in the reality TV bubble for which you are filming, and you are living in that moment and the camera captures it. There is something about it, and I can say it from the perspective of somebody that lived it, but I'm also describing it for you so that you guys can understand what it is that you're seeing when you're watching those scenes right there. The magic that, for me, as somebody, as a reviewer, I felt it in that moment. So that was good to me. Seeing Quick, being celebrated and then reliving the traumas of his past and then having to cope with the knowledge that he's doing all of these amazing things and his parents are not there to see it. And to see him in tears on that stage, and again, as a Black man, these are Black men having real, raw emotions, highs and lows, and you see it all unfolding on the screen. And yes, there is some petty drama that's happening as well that fits the bill for what a lot of people will want is petty entertainment that is, petty drama that's funny and that we could talk about later and laugh about at the water cooler. But at the same time, we were getting conversations of substance that people can feel. And that is the mark of a great reality TV episode to me. It's that marriage of the two, right? And so that's why I rate this episode what I rated, because we got all of that in one single episode, right? We did. And I this is what I live for when I'm reviewing shows, and this is what I live for when I'm watching a television show, and this is the reason why I do what I do. And these are the types of shows and episodes that bring me the most joy. You know what I'm saying? I could get on to what some other shows have been doing their past seasons, but I don't even feel the need to go down that road because we have so much meat on this plate. I don't even need to discuss any other plates that we might have already had. Okay, so let's go ahead and move from there. Um, in the spirit of getting to the real, we start off at Brittany's house, Brittany Tyler, and she has arranged a secret ponderosa for both her little brother, little Jamie, as well as I think he's her little brother, as well as her parents and her grandmother. So they show up, they all show up, and she's like, let's get down to the biz not eat. Okay. I'm tired of everybody having one-on-ones with me about what y'all got to say about each other. So y'all in the same room, put it all on the table, and let's get down to it. And I felt like Jamie came into the conversation today on this episode with just literally, it felt like he had a humble heart. He felt like he was almost a little broken over what was going on with him and Lil Jamie, and it felt like he was almost at his wits end. And it was interesting to sort of hear him and his perspective on what was going on. I did feel like it probably pushed a button in Lil Jamie when Big Jamie said, either we figure this out in therapy or you gotta go, right? You got to go. You got to leave. You got to get out of here and go live with your girlfriend or someplace else. I felt like that probably might have been a moment that really kind of pushed a little bit of a trigger in Lil Jamie. I can understand in this conversation, I can understand why Lil Jamie might have felt the way that he felt, because it is difficult for some people to hear when everybody has an issue with you or they're calling out their issues with you. But I think what they were also trying to tell him is that, listen, therapy isn't just for you. It is for all of us to get to a better place to communicate better with each other. And I think once he realized that it wasn't just all about him and the fingers weren't just being pointed at him, I think it really gave him a breakthrough, because initially he did not want to do the therapy. He was like against it. And it was great that they managed to talk him out of that and into going to see, a therapist, which, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I feel like we could all benefit from, especially me at this moment, because I just have so much in my mind, in my life, that I'm dealing with at the moment. And that's just me being transparent. I'm like, this is why this episode is resonating to me so much, because I get it. I get it. I feel like I've been there before in my life. So again, another reason why this was such a good episode for me. Um, Another thing that they kind of really touched on was Erana bringing up that he had wanted to harm himself. And, they really encouraged him to speak up and speak out about whatever it was that was on his mind. Now, we don't really get to the meat and potatoes of that until the therapy session, which we will get into in a little bit. But the conversation does end well with this family intervention. And I do like seeing this dynamic play out on the show, because it is such a missing element for TV that we have not seen before. And I love the way that they're tackling this. And I love how they're showing the stages of it, right? So this is great for me. We move on to Winter. She's touring Air. Air is a very popular night spot here. Well, I don't want to say night spot, but a popular spot, I guess, here in DC. And so we see Winter with Caressa J. Now, fun fact, I have worked with Caressa J. I work with her still to this day. She is an amazing brand manager. We've got some amazing photos and stuff like that we have been able to cook up. So, shout out to Caressa J. But they are there to sort of look for a space for Winter's Romancipation event, basically an event that's celebrating her divorce. Now, she's invited Sherrell because she really wants Sherelle to bring the football team. And by football team, I'm assuming she's talking about Ashley as well as Alicia, and maybe even throwing Erana into that mix. Okay. Now, Sherelle is like, well, what, now, how I get in it? Okay. How I get in it? I think you and Ashley need to have a one-on-one ponderosa by yourselves. And, Winter says, well, maybe, because we are both boss women and we're both strong and independent and like to have our way, maybe this is something that we can do. And who knows, maybe we would even be besties. And I'm like, now you are reaching for the stars. Okay. Because I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that it could get to a place where y'all could be civil and cordial and have a good time together. Okay, let's just start small, right? The other thing that they got to talk about is the fact that Erana told Sherrell that Joy said that her husband Black was shady. Now we get a flashback. Is it here that we get the flashback? I don't know if it's here that we get the flashback or not. But the flashbacks are going to become relevant in a minute. Okay. Remember this word: shady, dishonest, unethical, untrustworthy. Remember this definition. It's going to be very important later. um, Sherelle tells her that Erana told her all this negative stuff about her husband. And Winters wonders why Erana found herself in the middle of it. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, you know, yes, Arena stirred the pot, but I didn't feel like it was that bad. I mean, she told her with the idea that the two of them should sit down and work through the issues. So, yes, she was moving story, but at the same time, she also had an end goal for the movement of the story, right? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just to be messy. It was also to tell her like, "Hey, listen, I mean, yes, she did say these things about your husband that he was shady. But I think if you had a conversation, it could be all cleared up. Okay. So at least it did feel like it has some like goal to it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, Sherelle didn't take it that way, and neither does Winter. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, shouldn't y'all be, you should really be saving that angle for Joy. But we're going to get into that later too. So anyway, Sherelle wants to clarify things and she's going to meet up with Joy. Now, Quick, as we said earlier, is getting a street named after him. I think we might have said it in the last episode, but he's getting a street named after him. And so, he also has been reading Ashley's book and he's upset because he did not hear from, or I don't know if he didn't hear from Ashley, but Ashley did not tell him that their son had been suspended because he had gotten into an altercation. Now, according to the son, somebody took his jacket and he went to go retrieve it, okay, from the class. And so, Jamie really wants to set a standard for his son that is very different from the standard that had been set for little Jamie because he does not want his son to end up like little Jamie. Ooh, I don't know if it's good to use little Jamie as a metric for which I don't know. Like it just feels I get the comparison, but I don't get the comparison. I mean, I think that there's something to be said for these are two different individuals. Yes, they are two young black men, you know what I'm saying? But I do think that you have to I get where Quick is coming from what he has seen and what he has experienced to also knowing what little Jamie has gone through. I get it, but I also feel like it's a touchy subject. So I don't know if I would go that route. But anyway, he does make several valid points, which I did not even think of. When he talked about his son going to that other young man and taking his book bag to, I guess, maybe retrieve his jacket. What what I didn't think about that Quick mentioned was, oh, this young man could have had some substances in his backpack, some illegal substances. And so, what if the young man had said that Quicksilver's son had put those substances in his bag? I was like, I didn't even think about that. And so this really does go to show you that, we as I don't even want to just say black men, but specific I do want to say black men. Actually, no, I'm going to single us out. But we do have to be extra careful about the circumstances and the situations with which we find ourselves because even if we're not we have to be extra vigilant about how we move, where we move, how who we're around because we just don't know the circumstances that are going to be dealt to us because we are even associated with something. So we have to be extra careful because though we may see ourselves as one way, but the world may see us completely different, and it could be guilty by proximity at that point. So, I did feel him when he said that, and I do understand why he wants to make sure that his son is on a path that is thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to be extra vigilant. We do. Joy ends up. I did something else I noticed in this scene, and this is maybe I know this is gonna come across as criticism, but I gotta be honest. And if I'm gonna do these reviews, it looked to me like they all had on the same sweatshirt, and I was just like, now see, I understand this is the reality TV game, okay? But you take me out the reality, okay? You take me out the TV aspect of it when I see all y'all wearing a product, okay, that looks like something that y'all might be selling or somebody's selling. So that didn't feel, because I don't know anybody that everybody just walking around the house with a brand on. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of threw me out of the scene. So it would be nice to see if even if one person wore the shirt all the time, I could get it. But when both of y'all got the shirt on, I be feeling like, now wait a minute, all everybody in the room got it on. I'm feeling like, okay, now are you trying to sell me something? Okay, I don't feel like being sold right now. Now you can sell it to me a little more subtly. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. And get your coins, do what you need to do. But it did take me out of it took me out of the TV for a minute. You know, that was just a little thought that I had. So I don't know. But I do want everybody to get their coin. Lord have mercy, I do. So anyway, Joy and Sherelle are going to meet, but Joy is really meeting against her will. You know what I'm saying? She's being dragged and hog-tied to go to this meeting, and it's mad awkward. Yep, yep. And Sherelle wants to know where Joy wants to start. So Joy says that she doesn't have an issue with Sherelle, and I'm like, what? Rewind selector. Okay, because circa a couple of episodes ago at the Pank party, you said that you don't want to even be associated with anybody who's associated with Sherelle's husband, i.e., that would also be Sherelle. So you do have an issue with her by proxy, that your issue is with her husband. So let's just be real about what the issue is, because it's gonna come up anyway. So anyway, Sherelle tells her the things that Erana told her, and basically Sherelle's issue, because that is what she heard, was that Erana said that Joy said that her husband was shady, did shady business. Joy says, well, I didn't say shady. The flashback shows Joy saying everything but the word shady, okay? Manipulation, all kinds of other words that just lend itself to being shady. And so Joy lets her know that those were not the words that she used. And those were the words that Erana used. But my thought, if I'm Sherelle, is I'm like, well, what word did you use? Okay, let's forget, because Erana in this conversation is irrelevant, other than the fact that she told Sherelle what was said. So for me, it's not necessarily about the word choice. It is really about what was your intent behind what you said, lady. Okay, that's what I really want to know. This idea of the word shady and where this takes us is one of the reasons why I love reality TV, because it is really the most basic level of miscommunication that I have ever seen in my life. Okay. And to me, reality TV works best when there are conflicts that are centered around miscommunication versus, oh, let me expose you and your past. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody feel like dealing with that all the time. And I don't, that it's played out to me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's why I'm like, I'm all here for this. So anyway, Sherelle wants to know, okay, well, what are your issues? And Joy's like, well, I think this would be better for all parties to be here. I'm in agreement with that, because I feel like the two of y'all having a conversation, y'all really aren't the two with the issues. It need to be Sherelle, Black, and Joy and Clifton all sitting down for a four-way ponderosa to figure out how they are going to move forward in this group or not. Okay, because they don't have to move forward. But it works better for the viewers if everybody can at least be in the same room together. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Joy's point is, I knew your husband before you did. Okay. Now, while that's true, I don't know what wife is going to warm up to that. Okay. That is not going to endear her to you at all. But I don't think that was Joy's point anyway. Okay. Because I don't really think Joy cares, to be quite honest with you. But I was like, well, I don't think that's the thing to say. Anyway, apparently, let me break down the issue. Joy and Black was in a group called Mumbo Sauce. Apparently, there were two previous members of Mumbo Sauce who I don't know who they are, but they went on a tour. And the tour is how they got a lot of nationwide acclaim, according to the Joy. Then, after the tour, Black told the band that he could not work with the group no more if they didn't bring back the original two members. Which I there obviously is some truth to that story because when Sherelle also mentioned that she knew about an ultimatum. I need to understand what this ultimatum is because my thing is this, okay? That's like Latoya and Latavia leaving Destiny's Child, being replaced by Farrah and Michelle, okay? And then, Farrah leaving or whatever, but them going on to do, independent women and, Survivor and Destiny Fulfilled and the Christmas albums. And then all of a sudden, Beyonce or Kelly telling one of the other, hey, girl, listen, I can't continue along with this group unless we bring back Latoya and Latavia. It's like, well, I mean, at a certain point in time, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like to me, no, we didn't elevate it without the two of y'all. So y'all gonna have to either do y'all thing. This is again with me without knowing the full story because I don't. Okay, so people don't come after me. But what I'm saying is that's how it sounds according to Joy's story. So anyway, they go back and forth about whether or not Black has reached out to her or not. And Joy just wants to know what Sherelle wants from this conversation. That's a fair question. And Sherelle doesn't want to be in a space where someone is saying what Erana said that Joy said about her husband, which is also fair. So Joy says, well, things just got lost in the translation, i.e., Joy just wanted this conversation to end, okay? Because I'm like, nothing was mistranslated. Nothing was mistranslated at all. Erana used a different word, but you were essentially calling him shady. And you essentially admitted that in your confessional that, yeah, based on what you said, he is shady. That was your words in your confessional. So I'm like, girl, just cop to it. And y'all can then move forward. Y'all can then have a reasonable conversation and then move forward. Anyway, um, at this point, Sherelle is satisfied-ish. She's like, now she needs to have a ponderosa with Erana because if Joy is telling her she didn't call the man shady and that's all that, Sherelle has to go on, now she's got to wonder, well, what is Erana doing? Because Joy led Sherelle to believe that Erana misinterpreted what she said or said something different than what she actually said. But it's not true. It is essentially the truth. So anyway, for Sherelle, she's happy they had the conversation because it gave her clarity. And Joy says in her confessional, this is probably the meanest thing that I'm ever going to say. Her clarity is not my concern. Now, the statement in and of itself it's rather cold, okay? But independent of this situation, it is very sage advice in life. You do not have to always provide clarity for people who may be committed to misunderstanding you. I don't think that fits Sherelle at this point. I think she might be committed to misunderstanding Erana, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that there is some wisdom in you don't have to explain yourself to everybody, but you do need to be truthful. Okay. Joy. All right. So anyway, and I don't know why she didn't say nothing about it because I felt like that was the perfect opportunity for them to really get into the meat of the issue. But okay. So anyway, Jamie and Lil Jamie go to therapy, and I could literally go down my notes about what was said in this conversation. But I think really to me, it is more about the feeling of what was said. The doctor really gets into Jamie and his experiences as a detective and how those experiences might have framed the way that he responded to Lil Jamie, especially when Lil Jamie would get into trouble. So I get it, and I think Jamie gets it. And I was talking about this scene earlier when I said there's a moment when you let go of all pretense, and it's a small thing. And I know this is going to sound very minuscule, but Jamie and Lil Jamie, when they were sitting in the office, Jamie was not in a suit. Lil, and here's the thing. I previously said in another video, I like it when my reality TV shows show up like they are going somewhere, right? Look the part, right? Look like I want to see somebody on TV. So I appreciate that. And it has nothing to do with necessarily the way he was dressed. I meant more or less the demeanor of how they were both just like sitting there. And it felt like I was watching something that was happening in real life and not a TV show. Nobody was sitting up straight. It was a good conversation. Lil Jamie had to realize the part that he plays in his own chaos, and he has to take responsibility for what he does. And how do they meet in the middle? And the doctor also really wanted to know, Jamie, are you okay? Lil Jamie, are you okay? Because this idea that you might want to harm yourself, I need to know that before I let you go, that you don't feel like that now. And okay, if you do feel like that, you got my number to call me, right? It was such a productive conversation. I really truly enjoyed it. I it struck a chord with me because of some things that I am currently dealing with myself on a personal level. And so it was just like, okay, it was a message. It was almost a wake up call for myself as well. And I hope for anybody else out there. And they also put up, the hotline information, and they really let it linger there too. So definitely take advantage of that if you need to. Now, it is the day of Quicksilver's street naming in Baltimore, and everybody arrives to Shady Side in Baltimore. And we revisit all the crime that's going down there, and it's a great moment. Also, at this point in time, Sherrell has a clear issue with Erana, which I'm still not sure of why, because again, Erana might have said the wrong word, but the intent was still the same. But I guess that Sherrell is stuck on Joy saying that she never said that about her husband. But Joy should have clarified. I didn't call him shady, but I said a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyway, I wrote in my notes as Quick was called up to the stage that this was such a great episode for Black men. I stand by that. Carlos King, Kingdom Reign, OWN, as a network. Listen, top-notch television right here. Top-notch television. So we get the great moment with Quick. But baby, Sherrell just cannot help herself, okay? She has got to confront that good Erana, okay? And they are going in on Erana and her Bob. But I felt like Erana was looking banging that day, Anyway, more on the Bob in a minute. Well, let's get back to the definition of shady, okay? Because that's really the heart of this issue, the heart and soul of this issue. So Sherrell can't help herself when she sees Erana dancing her bob. She got to go and discuss it. And I'm thinking to myself, Sherrell, wrong time, wrong time. And in her confessional, she does acknowledge bad timing. But at the end of the day, it was sitting up in her throat and she could not help herself. And she had to go and get into it. So she decides to pull up the group. She wants to clear the air, but she don't really. She starts off by saying, listen, I got to clear the air. I don't like no shady talking behind each other's back. I want to do it all face to face. And I went and had a conversation with Joy. Arana's like, who's she talking to? Oh, you talking to me. Okay, because you ain't say my name. You ain't call me out, boo. You ain't call me out. So anyway, Sherrell confronts her about the use of the word shady. And she doesn't like Erana playing with words if that's not what Joy said. Erana says, well, shady is actually the words that describes your husband. I said, Erana, I don't think you accurately said what you meant. Okay. Because Sherelle is like, no, what you say? No, you did not call my husband shady. And she is going off. And Erana realizing, wait, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold up, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold up, hold up. I was trying to tell you that those were Joy's words. Joy said your husband was shady. Okay, do you know what the word shady means? Let me tell you what it means. She might not have said those words, but when she said words like dishonest, unethical, and untrustworthy, that is the definition of the word shady. Do you not know what the word shady means? And I was like, oh God, here we go. How did we get here? How did we get here? Okay. So Sherelle wants Erana to use the exact words that Joy said. And Arena's like, what? First of all, poor Quick. Poor Quick is trying to end this situation in some way, shape, or form. He's trying to, and Ashley just has to push him off like, listen, boo, go on. I got this. I got this. She's annoyed because she's thinking one of them gonna pop off and she might have to pop off, and then all three of them gonna be popping off. So um I don't know why at this moment Sherelle did not simply turn to Joy and say, "What did you say about my husband?" Because she is saying that you said something similar. What you say? That's what that energy should have been directed to, personally speaking. Okay. So Erana tries to tell her, that's what Joy said, and this, that, and the third. And now Sherelle again, because Erana has said, "Do you know what that means?" Sherelle is raged again. She knows the word, okay. And Erana is gonna get out that shady definition. She was reading that definition from that phone. Baby, let me tell you something. It was you. Listen, it's one of those situations where if you ain't see it, you had to be there. Okay. You had to be there because I was like, this is the most nonsensical, entertaining fight I have seen in a long time, in public, no less, at the street naming where the mayor is. The mayor is there. The mayor of Baltimore. Oh my God. Anyway, Joy realizes that everybody is looking at her and she's slinking off to the side, but she's like, listen, this ain't the time or the place. Girl, when is the time or the place? When you gonna tell these folk the truth? So anyway, this is when we get this word on the screen, and I was like, you know what? I was through. Anyway, as they're pulling Erana away, she's like, "That's why don't nobody like you. That's why don't nobody like you." And Sherelle is like, "Do you think I give an F about whether or not anybody likes me or not?" And all I can say is, you know what, Sherelle? I definitely believe you.